shadow work is light work because from the darkness comes light.
It's beyond the yoga. It's beyond, the dance, the retreats.
It can be such a beautiful journey when we know that we no longer have to suffer.
Peace, love, and light, beautiful gods and goddesses. Welcome back to another episode of the Golden Age Goddess Podcast.
Yay! Peace and love, everyone. Thank you for showing up. Thank you, goddesses, for being here.
Thank you so much. We are going in today about shadow work because shadow work is light work, right?
Yeah.
We goddesses love, right? We goddesses love to do our shadow work. We're clearing, we're getting more in alignment with our light work, right?
Yeah, that's how you get to the light work. That's how you get there.
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly. So I'm so excited for this topic because honestly, I feel like we all need to do our shadow work. Some people may not be doing their shadow work or may not understand what that completely means, but we got you. We got you, right? On today's episode. So if you feel called, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share throughout the whole video. Stay until the end because we have a surprise for you at the end.
Yes.
All right, let's get into it.
Yes.
Welcome to the Golden Age Goddess Podcast. We stand for peace, love, happiness, and abundance for all. Listen to your heart and soul's call, and we will encourage you to be bold, audacious, and devoted. Kim, Indigo, and Wind, helping you win by healing deep within. Only way to the Golden Age. Like, share, and subscribe today.
So we're going to start with a candle. So if you goddesses have your candles,
yes,
we'll go ahead and have a prayer for all of our supporters, all of the collective, all of the world. Today we pour our hearts, we pour our beautiful wisdom, our beautiful knowledge, our beautiful experiences that we have gone through in life with shadow work that has led us to the real light work. And we are so excited to show up authentically, lovingly, peacefully, joyfully. And at the end of the day, just always remember that love is the only thing that is real. Love is the only thing that is real in this world. I'm just so grateful to be here in this divine presence, this safe space, this sacred space of beautiful, beautiful, beautiful community, beautiful love, and I'm just so excited.
Yes, thank you, beautiful goddess, for that beautiful sacred prayer. My desire is definitely around shadow work for us all and for, of course, the collective. My desire is that we do not shy away from our shadows, do not shy away from the unconscious mind, the subconscious mind, our traumas, our triggers, our projections, our anger, whatever it is that is very uncomfortable for us. Let's really dive deep into it. Let's go head first. Like Kim said, the only thing that's real is love. And to face those parts of ourselves that are even not ourselves is one of the highest acts of love. It is one of the highest acts of love and surrender and connection to the divine. So my desire, my deepest desire is that we go full in, all in, into the sacred darkness of ourselves, to really sit with ourselves, to be always aware of ourselves, to check ourselves lovingly and kindly, and to continue to have that compassion and grace and accountability for self all throughout the way. And know that this is part of the human experience. It is safe, and you will come out on the other side way better than you've ever could have imagined. The true self. I'm sending that to all of you and to myself as well. So much love. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I literally started to tears started to well up in my eyes when you said that, Goddess. I promise you, like when you were saying like doing the shadow work to see the parts of ourselves that are not ourselves, I got emotional immediately because that's the truth. It's coming back to the truth of our soul and our knowingness that we are not the personality or the thing that we create from our traumas, from our pain, from our experiences, from our generational influences, from the programs. So that's why the shadow work is so important, because we have to realize that that is not us. That is not us.
Oh, I got chills. Got chills. You're right. Thank you, Goddess. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, that is so beautiful. So beautiful. I love you, Goddesses, so much. Thank you.
Love you, Goddesses, so
I love you both.
All right.
We are so powerful. Let me just say, we are so powerful.
Yes, we are. Cheers to that. I like my
cheers. Yes.
Cheers, Goddesses.
Yes. And with that, I will begin our beautiful, beautiful ceremony today. Goddesses, in your own perspectives, what is shadow work?
Oh, yes. I'll go last if you don't mind.
My shadow work first.
My shadow work, I feel like, is to be quiet and just like sit back and then for a little bit and just let my other goddesses. I get excited, and there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, I want to hear what my goddesses have to say. Kim, how about you?
Of course, I'll go first. What I've been able to experience in my journey with shadow work is what we're here to do, what we're here to unravel, what we're here to learn, what we're here to unlearn, which is so important. Because growing up in society, we're molded to think a certain way, to be a certain way. I mean, not even society, like ancestral trauma, things that we just go through in life that pull us away from what we are, and that is love. Anything that is not from love has to go. And for me, that's the shadow work. It's like, I know I am loved deep in my heart, and so many things are programmed into our minds since we're little. And growing up, for me, the shadow work has been going deep within to my heart and knowing that anything that does not feel that it's from love or not from my heart, then it has to go. And that can be anything from a breakup. It can be anything from ancestral trauma. It can be the way that people have betrayed you, the way that you have grown up, and there's been false comments or things aimed towards you. All of that is doing the shadow work, because when we start to believe all that, it starts to go on. It's kind of like layers. It starts to, like, this is you, and then there's layers of like falsity that goes on top of you. And for me, it has been beautiful to be able to unmantle all of those layers and come back to myself, which is love. So to me, the shadow work is so necessary because we continue to evolve in life, and it has just been crucial for my work here on the planet, and what I'm here to do to share my love to humanity. And I think it's just so beautiful to be able to do the shadow work. And that's what it means to me, is unveiling all of that has been put onto us by society and others, so other thoughts and things like that. So that's what shadow work means to me.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Goddess.
That is beautiful. So shadow work for me, when I think of the word shadow, I think about the hidden parts of us, because the shadow is always there with us. It's just reflective on the way that the light hits us, right? Where we're able to see those shadows, but they're always there. The shadow is always with us, right? And the purpose of the shadow work, because when we come into our being, we come like, they call us gods with amnesia. We come into the world in our purest form, our purest essence. Babies are so innocent. They have just like divine love, just looking at them brings you joy. It makes your heart just like filled with love. Just looking at a baby, just like seeing a baby, don't have to be your baby. Babies bring that energy, brings that frequency to the planet. And as babies grow and evolve, they begin to imitate, they begin to mock the behaviors of their parents, of the people that they're around. That's when the shadow is then like starting to build and intertwine with us, because it's like we are trying to figure out, because we have amnesia, what is it that we're here for, right? Because we forgot, we came forgetting. And we are trying to come to that clarity, come to that level of understanding in a world where you were never going to find it in this world, because like the scripture says, it's the peace that surpasses understanding. So you can't find understanding in this world of our spiritual, our full spiritual essence that we bring into this reality, into this frequency, this third dimension of density. And as we grow, we then may experience certain things in life that may then cause us to sometimes harden or create certain boundaries for ourselves. And sometimes that can be limiting. So those shadows then start to, in our ego, then we start to build it, and it becomes like a protective mechanism to basically protect us from feeling a certain feeling that we felt before. Or, if we felt like abandonment from very early on, we build this like protective mechanism, which is our shadow, that then would be like, I don't want to let people in close to me because I'm afraid that they may leave me, or I'm afraid of the abandonment, or I'm afraid that, you know what I'm saying, of being vulnerable with someone, because if I let them too close, they may hurt me. They may, break my heart, or they may cause me to feel let me down in some way. So as we grow, the shadow becomes more dominant. It becomes like, okay, I'm here to protect you. I'm here to make sure you don't feel that hurt and pain no more. I'm here to make sure that nobody is going to get over on you, and different things that we create for ourselves. We create that shadow. And as we grow older, as we integrate with it, it becomes dominant in our lives. It becomes our reality, right? It becomes our truth, which is not really the truth. It's not the real truth, because it's only a shadow. It's only a protective personality that we've integrated to then associate with ourselves, but it's not really truly who we are, because who we truly are is love, and we came in as that. Mm-hmm. But we build this protective mechanism along the way, which we call our ego, and we have several versions of the ego, and that is the shadow. So we go in to clear that up from lifetimes upon lifetimes to allow our soul to evolve, right? We allow our soul to go through the journey of evolution, and that's what we're here to do. And we forget, but we come back to remembering. That's the whole purpose of like constantly having these things happen to us, to come back to remember the truth of who we are, which is love, and to remove those limiting beliefs, remove those blockages, remove those generational traumas, like Kim said, or generational curses, like some will call that, or programming that we associate with to be who we are, which is not really who we are.
Absolutely. Beautifully said. Thank you so much. Love that. I want to start off by saying, because it's really important that we also know where these terms come from, shadow work. Even before it was coined shadow work, which was coined by a psychologist named Carl Jung in the 1900s, he defined and coined shadow work as a term to look at our unconscious mind. The unconscious controls the traumas, it controls the pain, it controls those deep wounded sufferings, and looking into those traumas. But it goes so much beyond that. Even before it was coined shadow work in the 1900s, in ancient cultures, they were doing that deep, deep soul work, that deep inner work, connecting with higher dimensional beings of love and light, in order to be able to look into self, look into the DNA, look into the soul, and even our ancestral lineage to find out why we are going through what we're going through and how can we also prevent it for the future, our future generations to come. And so when we're looking at shadow work, and I love what Indigo said, like it's the hidden, it's the unseen. And again, going back to that esoteric, we really, really have to understand that that is what's going to liberate you, is to be able to look at those parts of self that are not self, that is actually controlling us behind the scene. What's coming to me is is like, how can I explain? What's the word? Like, not a metaphor, but if I was to compare it to like the Wizard of Oz, if you know anything about the Wizard of Oz, they, like Dorothy, just in a nutshell, she was going to go see the wizard in order for her to come home, right? And the wizard was seen as this all powerful, um, omnipotent, the most powerful, even more powerful than Dorothy was. So she felt like she needed to go to the wizard to get home, just to find out that the wizard was all smoke and mirrors. He really had no power. So I'm looking at the wizard almost as like our shadows, like we're living in our own shadow. We're living in our own shadow, and we're not realizing the power that we have to create our life, to have dominion over self, to control our thoughts, to control our actions, to control even our emotions and the energy that we're bringing to the table. When we're able to look at the shadows, which I'm using the wizard as an example, to me, he represents like the shadow. He's the illusion. He's the illusion of self. Like I have no dominion over self. I need to go to this in order for me to be able to be liberated, for me to have sovereignty over myself, for me to be able to be empowered. So when we're doing the shadow work, we're starting to realize like life is not happening to me. Life is responding to me. And I do have the ability to be able to love myself, to love life. And I'm not a victim of life. That is the shadow work as well. I'm not a victim of life. And I attract everything. I attract everything. I am a magnet, you know? Everything that we're experiencing, we co-create it through our thoughts, our actions, our emotional state, our karma, our karmic debt that we need to repay, and also our dharma. All of this is leading us to our dharma, even if we're going through a hard time. And I think that's a one big thing about shadow work, is to no longer be a victim of society, a victim of what we perceive as something that is keeping us from, living our best life, from being our best self, from being our higher self. And so when we're looking at those shadows, we're looking at not only the parts of self that are not self, that are the toxic anger, the jealousy, the insecurities, the whatever, everything that is from a fear vibration. We're not only looking at that, we're also looking at the light aspects of self. Where have we not spoken our truth when we were called to speak our truth? Where have we not allowed ourselves to be great? I know that's big for a lot of us, light workers, is that we have so many beautiful gifts. And a lot of times we hide them because we're scared that of, not being accepted, or we're scared of being persecuted, or we're scared of, whatever it is that keeps us playing small. So it shows up, the ego can show up in both ways. It can show up in keeping you playing small, or it can also show up in delusions of grandeur, where you feel like you're better than other people. All of these things are the shadows that we need to be aware of. It starts with that self-awareness and recognizing, am I happy? Am I so fulfilled? Where am I self-sabotaging? All of these different things. And no longer letting this illusory power, the wizard, so to speak, right? Who has no power. You have the power. You have the power take over you. So that is what shadow work means to me, even beyond Carl Jung coining the terminology of shadow work. This goes way back to indigenous cultures where they didn't call it shadow work. This was just doing the work. This was doing the light work. This was doing the spiritual work, us connecting to the divine, the spirit, so we can keep our vessels purified and we can be pure channels, as Indigo said, as we come in as babies, even though, yes, babies are pure, but they come in with certain ancestral coding as well, and DNA coding. And that's why their souls have chosen certain things. But still at that baby state, it's kind of like what you said, Indigo, and I'm gonna close it with this, that remembering as they're getting older, even though they're not conscious of the remembering, it's actually all of the people that they're around, the families that they're chosen, who are molding them into being, molding them into where the shadows are now taking over. All of that is a remembering so that they can clear that karmic debt, even though they not be conscious of it. It's a remembering. It's coming back to like, okay, I have to go through this experience. This is what my soul chose. And then I can also rewrite the experience. That's the magic, and that's the mercy, and that's the love of the universe. So shadow work goes deep. I'm gonna leave it there. That is what shadow work means to me.
Yes.
Thank you.
Love that. Oh my gosh, that was so good. I tend to think about, some people may feel like, I don't have that. I don't have no trauma. I grew up in like a great home, and I don't have to do shadow work. How do
That's a good one.
when you have to do shadow work? And like, where do you start? Like, when you don't know where to start?
I love that. That's a good one.
Yes.
Kim, you want to go first?
Yes, of course. Where do you start? What's coming through to me is if you're not happy, if you're unfulfilled, if you're depressed, if you don't know what's going on with you, if you're going through a crisis, I feel like that's where you can start to do the shadow work, because obviously something is not clicking in your life. If you're not fulfilled, that's coming to me really strongly, is like, that's where you need to start. Because the moment where you start to unravel what is not from love is when you start to clear out all of that fogginess in the mind. And then you start to get clear with what is the truth? Is this the truth of what I'm going through? Does this feel like love? Why am I depressed? Why am I not getting ahead in life? Why are my manifestations not coming true? If you feel like you're in a moment of stuckness energy, I think that is the perfect moment to start to do the shadow work. Because once you get ahead of that, you get clarity. And when we have a clear mind, we're able to call in and open up to the divine a lot clearer. And for me, that's a beautiful way to start, is when you know that something needs to change in your life.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for that. I want to dive into what Indigo said, because that was a powerful question you started off with.
Yes.
Yes. For those that think their life is so perfect, for those that think, oh, I don't have any work to do. My life is great. I have the perfect husband. I have the perfect wife. I have the perfect job. this and this and that. Things are going great for me. I'm perfect. I don't need to do any shadow work. Are you living in a perfect world? Are the people around you suffering? Are they happy? Your loved ones? There's work to do as a collective, because what happens to one happens to all, whether you realize that or not. So it's so important to also recognize where we have been selfish, and also not where we have not been in service. And I'm not saying we're here to save the world. That is not what I'm saying. Or I'm not saying to even look for problems if you feel like your life is great. That's wonderful. But there's still always work to do. If we're living in a world where people are being raped, or people are suffering, people are living in poverty, people have deep mental health illness, deep spiritual disconnection, all of the above, right? Then there's work to do inside, because our insides as a collective is what's creating the external world. And so even going back to what Kim said, yes, absolutely. If we're not happy with our lives, that is a big indicator. But then where is the indicator when we feel like, oh, everything is going great in our lives? And again, that's beautiful. We don't want to create fake problems. I'm not saying to look for a problem. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, how can we be more in service? How can we extend our love? If our life is so great, how can we tune in and see where our dharma lies? Where is our passions? Where is our purpose? Where is our interest? How can we create that domino effect and spread our love and our light to others and to help other people? Because again, what's happening to one is happening to all. And remember, we're in cycles of life. So just because you think that everything's going great, what's that song, even by Kanye West? I'm not a big fan of him now, but I love that song, When It All Falls Down. When it all falls down. Because we're in cycles. Sometimes we can live in that delusional state. Oh, it's great for me. Everything is amazing, until it all falls down. It comes crashing. And now you're crashing out because it was almost like you were in this blind state with a veil over you. Me. My life is so perfect. Who cares about anybody else? Until now, like, I am everybody else. Now I'm going through hell.
Oh, yeah.
We go through cycles of life. So none of us are exempt from learning those deep soul lessons, because the way the universe works, and there's laws in the universe, we're one. There's a law of one. And so we have to understand and understand that if we sit silent and suffering, then guess what? There's going to be a moment in our lives where we're going to be doing the screaming and yelling. And I'm using that as symbolism, not that you're physically going to be yelling and screaming, where your trauma, your pain is going to be very loud. And you're going to want people to be there for you. So yeah, we have to realize that it's not only about us, but it's about everyone. It's about everyone. And continuing to be in service, continuing to make the world a better place, by, of course, starting with self. Maybe the shadow work is that I need to care more about others. And maybe the shadow work is I need to be more considerate. Maybe the shadow work it's not just all about me, it's about all of us. Maybe that's the shadow work.
Oh, I love that. Oh my gosh. Just like as you were talking, just so much was just coming through. So much just was like streaming through, but like you took the words out of my mouth.
Thank you, Goddess.
Yes, the power of one, the power of one. Because some of us may feel like, oh, my life is perfect. It's exactly what I dreamt of, and I'm a living manifestation of my dreams.
Yeah.
Right? But like you said, that can come from a space of selfishness. Yep. It's only about me. Me. Like Mr. Smith said in The Matrix, me, more me. And just keep creating for yourself. And then you're just like accumulating things. You're accumulating things. And then you have those who may not feel fulfilled on a multidimensional level. Maybe in this 3D, you may feel like all is good. everything is great right here, but then you feel unfulfilled in your spiritual life. You feel unfulfilled in your connections and relationships with others because you put all this time into work, yourself, me, but you're not thinking about your connection with the other levels of yourself.
Yep.
So you fall short there. That's when you need to do the shadow work, because shadow work is continuous. We're always doing the shadow work. And like you said, you don't want to create problems. I know people who said, I've done my shadow work. I don't have childhood trauma and stuff that's holding me down or feel like it's still with me. That is great. But what are you doing for the collective? Is your mentality for more stuff for me? Or I want to have this accomplishment for myself? Or are you actually trying to bring a remedy for humanity? Because I love, like you said, when it all falls down. But then also, Bob Marley says in a song, when the rain falls, it doesn't fall on one man's housetop.
Yes.
So when the rain, the storm comes, it's coming to fall on everybody's house, housetop in that area. When the storm comes, the hurricane is going to wipe everything out. It's not going to leave anyone. You know what I'm saying? The flood is going to come. It's going to flood the whole area. It's not just going to flood one person's house.
Yep.
So we have to be constantly in the mentality of service, of humanity, the greater good for humanity. That is gratitude.
Yes. Oh, yes.
When we align with gratitude, the greater good for humanity, not just me. So that's how you know when you need to start, because it's constant. If you are in this world, like you said, is this a perfect world? Until the world is a perfect world and we're in the golden age, in the age of light, where it's just high vibration, connection, love, that's it. There's work to do.
There's still work to do. Yes, goddess. Oh, I got chills. Yes. Absolutely. And I just want to say one more thing before we move on is, I love what you said about, they may think their life is perfect based off of superficial things. I have the house. I have the perfect job. I have, I have the money. And again, all of that is beautiful, wonderful. We congratulate you on that. How is your spirit? How is your soul? Because it's one thing to be focused on all these physical things, but again, and that's why it will always fall down. Remember, the pendulum has to swing both ways. That's the laws of the universe. The pendulum swings both ways. And again, we're not anticipating or wishing bad on anybody. This is just the laws of the universe. And a lot of these things happen because we need to be seeing both ends of the spectrum. We need to be seeing things from a wider lens. We need to be going through all of these experiences so that way we can fully, truly understand that we are all one and that we all have work to do. Even when we think that everything is perfect. I think that's the illusion as well. Oh, I have the perfect body. I have the perfect guy. I have the perfect this. I have all the followers. Beautiful. But how's your soul? And when it all falls down, because it will. And again, it doesn't mean that that your life is going to blow up and everything's going to be gone. But a lot of times it does, simply because the universe wants you to see a bigger picture, have a higher perspective, and to do the shadow work and to prevent it from all falling down. That's why it's so important that we continue to do the shadow work until that's clear. Yes. So thank you for that, Indigo.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so where do we start? Start?
We start by going within.
Yes, goddess. Exactly. Exactly. For me, when I realized that I needed to go within, I was going through a dark period. And like we were just saying, my outer world seemed like everything was together. Everybody thought that they wanted my life, like I had a sweet life. But on the inside, there was something missing. On the inside, I was suffering inside my home that of things that I wasn't talking about, with my friends, my family. I didn't share with anyone. I was suffering in silence by myself.
Mm.
And when I realized that I started to get my density, the thoughts were dense and dense and dense and more dense. And I said, you having those type of thoughts, something's going on. You know what I'm saying? Because that's not me. It's not me. So that's when I started to do meditation. I started meditation. And even then, I found myself not being like, I did it, but I didn't go deep until love triggered my deepness. Love, there was, at the time, it was like some family things going on. And I was like, I have to still come from a place of love for this person, for my family. And that made me go even deeper because I did not want to be a person coming with my limited mindset, my traumas, my programming, being Jamaican and things like that. That made me realize that I had those type of programming, and it made me go in even deeper. I created my altar, and from then I've never given up meditation. It's been my rock. It's been my anchor into the spiritual realm. So for me, that was the trigger for me. Yeah.
Wow.
I love that. Love that. All right, my goddesses. So let's segue into this then. So with that being said, and the need to do shadow work for us all, even if you feel like your life is perfect, do you feel that some people or all people need to be doing shadow work? Is this a lifetime process, or is this something that is temporary? Do we get to a point where shadow work is no longer needed, and we could still be evolving? Or do you feel like it's a one size fits all, or it just depends on the person? How do you all feel about that?
For me, absolutely. Shadow work is a lifetime process because as we clear up this lifetime, these experiences, we then are able to be awakened to our soul, like from the beginning of time, all of the things that our soul needs to clean up, the karmic debt, like you said, from past lifetimes, from, different dimensions of ourselves. And so absolutely, we're going to always be doing the work. And even when we feel like I'm not saying that create something or make something up or try to go and search for something that is not there, but they come up for us to be able to see it and deal with it and work through it. The things come up in our lives. There's cycles, like we said, there's cycles, like just in nature where there's the seasons. We have our same cycle and seasons that allows for things to come up, allows for things to be cleared, allows for us to be in our joy and our vibrancy and our, radiance, and then allows for us to go back into that incubation where we go deeper and deeper and deeper and keep clearing and clearing and clearing. And clearing process is constant.
Yes.
We're constantly clearing. We're constantly working through things. We're constantly noticing our triggers. We're constantly just like on the process of evolution. If we're not changing, if we're not evolving, we're stagnant. And energy is not like, it's always moving. We're always moving. Energy is in motion all the time. So for me, it's a constant process. And then also identifying, I love how you brought up the psychologist Carl Jung, but there also is Freudian, the psychology behind the ego, where we have the id, the ego, and the superego. So we may think that we may be showing up in love and light, but it can be also from trauma. It can also be from like a place of overgiving, from the super ego, where we feel like we need to show up and be extra nice. You know what I'm saying? It's something to be at a time. Yes. Same. And I'm working through that also myself, like constantly. But like showing up and feeling like you have to be super nice, or you got to be a people's pleaser, and you got to like overcompensate for who you are.
Yep.
So there's still work to be done if you're doing that in that way too, coming from that space.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Love that.
Thank you. Yes.
Mm.
What I want to say regarding, because yes, you hit the nail on the head, Indigo, as usual. For sure, shadow work, whether you want to call it shadow work or not, doing the work, doing the inner work is a constant practice. It's a constant because we're always going to be evolving. Even when we get to the state and we enter the golden age, there's dimensions beyond the golden age that are going to require more evolvement. And what I will say is too, like even going back to the terminology shadow work, I feel like shadow work when we're first beginning, especially when those triggers are running amok, we're having that spiritual awakening, if you will. A lot of us will go through that dark night of the soul, and that's beautiful. That's the time where you can be still. That's the time where you can allow yourself to surrender to the depression rather than run from it. So you can notice what's been suppressed, what's been repressed, so you can get some deep rest and no longer press down all of those, just everything we talked about, everything that is not love and light, everything that's not the true self, everything that's keeping us from being consciously connected to source, because we're always connected to source, even in our darkest times, but we're not conscious of it. We're not conscious of it. Even in our lowest of the low point, there's still just an ounce, even if you have an iota of hope, an iota of love, an iota of I can get myself out of it, you can, and you will. But when you evolve spiritually and you do shadow work ongoing, you no longer have to go through those dark night of the soul, so to speak, but you can still be doing the shadow work. But the shadow work can now be light. The shadow work can be easier. The shadow work can now be more peaceful. It can be more fun. We can still do those shadow works. And something that's been coming to me as we were planning this podcast and this beautiful theme of shadow work is light work is that shadow work is actually can be done every single day in any single moment. It starts with that just simple awareness. Like as you're doing more of those work, it's almost like you're building your energetic bank balance, your emotional bank balance. You're depositing, you're putting in all this work. So it's like you're depositing and you're creating this surplus of love, surplus of energy, surplus of healing and light. And because of that, now when those triggers come up, now when the ego comes up, now when the overthinking comes up, it no longer has to consume you to the point where I'm now going into this deep depression. And now everything has its place. There are going to be moments when we go through deep depression. There are going to be moments where we, in our lives, where we go through what you call a dark night of the soul. There's going to be moments where we shut ourselves off from the world, but it doesn't have to always be that way. As you're evolving in your shadow work, it now becomes light. Now, then you'll get to a point where you start to laugh. Oh, there goes the ego again. Hee hee. Look at her showing off again. Just can't control herself. It becomes lighthearted. It becomes laughable. And it's not that it's not a serious matter, but you've already done so much work. Now you can be lighthearted about it, you know?
To be able to even see it. To be able to even pick up on, to be able to even see the ego when it shows up and to pick up on it, be able to bring that to your consciousness. You know, that is there, because most of us are unconscious about that processing, you know, and the ego comes in and you don't even realize it. It just takes over.
Yes. Thank you for bringing it up. That's a genius point. Exactly. Because as you have done the shadow work, it now becomes easier to see it. It becomes more, it's more in your awareness now to see when like, oh, I am in my overthinking mind. Oh, I am triggered. I'm projecting. Oh, I am, you know, oh, I am self-sabotaging. Okay. I'm aware of it without getting consumed by it. But go through all the different levels of shadow work, through the dark night of the soul. I say have as many dark night of the souls as necessary, but you don't have to stay there. I want to emphasize that you don't have to stay there. It doesn't have to be the dark night of the soul doesn't have to be a lifetime thing. The shadow work, yes, doing the inner work, the awareness of self, the analyzing without over analyzing, the awareness and going deep into the subconscious, going deep into the unconscious mind, going deep within the cells, going deep within the body, going within all of that. That's beautiful, but it can get easier. I want to emphasize that it can and it will get easier the more that you do the work, because it's gotten easier for me.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
And then like the suffering as well, like we won't suffer. The more we evolve, it's going to be less suffering. That's what was coming up for me. And it's like, aren't we tired of suffering? Like, come on.
Yes. Yes. Well, don't I ask you that all the time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that, Indigo and Wind. Like, you guys just nailed it. Everything I was going to say, it was coming up for me. It's like, yes, once you raise that level of awareness with the shadow work, and it's also helpful to teach others if they want to be taught the way that we do our shadow work. It's like so important. Like, you know, I have sisters and, you know, sometimes they go through things, and through my shadow work, I'm able to teach and give my own information, reflection on what I'm going through. So as we evolve, we're able to teach others to not suffer as much. And because we don't have to suffer, it can be such a beautiful journey when we know that we no longer have to suffer. We just have to face ourselves with so much honesty, and like radical honesty of like not wanting to suffer anymore.
Yeah.
And knowing that we are here to anchor in the golden age of light and love. And the more we do that in our journey, the closer it's going to come. But yeah, I'm so excited to just continue to do the inner work, and it's just so needed. I've recently have done some deep inner work, and I'm like, and I thought I was doing inner work already. Like, what the heck?
Yes. Yes.
But you're so supported. You are so loved. You have a team of ascended masters, guides, source with you to help you through it all. They're next to you, supporting you and loving you and rooting for you. And just always feel that support and love. I know it can get hard sometimes when we're so programmed, but just know that this is a journey. And the moment you start to look within and to go deep in the shadows, the outcome is so beautiful, to have so much peace. And you'll start to crave that peace. Like, I feel like once you do so much shadow work, it's like, I was just telling my sister Wind, like, Wind, now I know why you like to be alone sometimes, because I'm like, I just want to be alone. I want to be in nature. I want to talk to Source, talk to God, be with my puppies, no drama, you know. So
I feel you, Goddess. And I just want to say this one last thing before we segue is that, yes, suffering is a choice at this point. It really is. In this stage of the game, in this stage of spiritual awakening, suffering is very much a choice, because more than ever, we are now being supported by the energies of not only our higher selves, the energies of the planetary alignments, the energies of Mother Earth ascending and healing. We are so supported. The energies of the divine synchronicities. A lot of us are seeing the angel numbers. A lot of us are getting those divine signs. A lot of us are getting those intuitive downloads, even those intuitive uploads. A lot of us are meeting like-minded, like-spirited, like-hearted souls. All of these beautiful things are coming online. And that's so we are so supported more than ever, that it's like like even Kim said, which I always will say, it's so in your face now that suffering is more of a choice than ever, because with all these different things of being supported the way we are, us now remembering, as Indigo said, remembering our love, our light, our truth, remembering these spiritual healing modalities, these spiritual gifts that have been given to us in ancient times, since antiquity.
Mhm.
All of these things that are being given to us, there is no need to suffer unless you want to suffer now. And a lot of people are addicted to suffering, but we no longer have to be addicted to suffering. We can be addicted to love. And that's why a lot of people block love, is because they're so addicted to that suffering. It's literally a chemical addiction in the mind, in the brain. And so just even, like I said, but everything can be changed. Everything can be turned around. And I want to reemphasize too, one step at a time. One step at a time. It's not going to happen overnight. This is a lifelong journey, like Indigo said. And we got to have grace and compassion every step of the way. And as Kim said, radical accountability. Absolutely. Moving on.
I love
Yes. I love you so much. You said, moving on.
Moving on. Yes. Let's keep it moving.
So what can happen when you do the shadow work internally and externally through your experiences, loves?
Ooh,
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. I'll go first.
Yes.
Awesome. So much. Oh my gosh. You goddesses are so wise. I just love you both so much.
We love you just the same, if not more. Like, I mean, let me not say that. That's kind of an egoic thing to say, but we love you. Let me just say that.
Yes, I love you so much. But absolutely, like, when you start to go within, your internal is a reflection of your external. So when you are chaotic and you have no peace and stillness within, your outside, your external is chaotic, no peace. You're all over the place. You're drained. You feel like you got to keep going. Hustle, 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 hustle. I need to try to figure this out. I need to do this. It's chaotic. Stop. Find stillness. Come to your center.
Yes. Yes, goddess.
And that would be the reflection that you have externally. What's been coming through for me so strongly as you goddesses were speaking is, like we said in the title, shadow work is light work, because from the darkness comes light.
Yes.
We go into the shadows to learn, to grow. Think about it like the soil. When you plant a seed, you put it in the dark soil, and then the sun, the light, allows us to have it sprout and grow and be a beautiful flower, a beautiful plant, you know what I'm saying? So we're going into those shadows of ourselves to clear up what's causing us to not have that sprout, right?
Yes.
What's it like? Why is it not growing? Why am I not growing? Why is my garden not flourishing?
Yeah.
Because
we're not providing it nutrients. We're not watering it. Exactly.
So when we go within, from the darkness comes light. And we don't go in the darkness just to stay in darkness and be in darkness. No.
Yep.
The purpose of the darkness is to bring it to the light. And when we bring our consciousness to it, we shed light on it, and we're able to transmute that energy however is needed. And I do want to say that because I'm talking about the soul, I mentioned earlier about going into the darkness, going into doing the shadow work to be able to clear up past life trauma in our soul. We also came, like you said, Lynn, we also came with beautiful gifts, ancestral gifts that we bring in this lifetime too. And we're going in to remember those as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to
that
own
is
it.
a part of the shadow work. Yes. And be in our power to, like you said, own it. Own all of us, all parts of us, and have the audacity to be bad bees, right? Have the audacity.
The real bad bee right there.
Have the audacity to release. Have the audacity to let go. Have the audacity to shift from being in victim mindset to being liberated.
Yes.
Having the audacity to say, I no longer want to identify with that aspect of what I believe was me, and coming to the truth that we are love. I am love. I am another you, and we are all connected. And when we go in and we do that shadow work, we are doing work for humanity, everybody, because we are all connected. So when you do the work, you are healing your family bloodline, you are healing yourself, but most importantly, you are healing everyone.
Yes.
Everyone, not just yourself, but everyone, by
Yes.
having the audacity to go within, by having the strength to be able to see those sides of you that may not feel so good when you go into those shadows, but you will feel good after you transmute it, after you bring it to the light, after you're able to liberate yourself from it. And that's our remedy. That's what people are looking for. How do I transmute this? Why I don't, people are identifying with sexual trauma and all types of miscreations that we have all contributed into this world. And we're trying to see, how do we clear that up? How do we transmute that? How do I come more to the truth of my soul, which is light, which is love? How do I do that? Yes.
Absolutely, goddess.
I
Ooh, I love
love that. Something that was coming up right now was like, you then become an activator, and you become an activator to awaken with your vibration. The more that you do that shadow work, and the more that you rise your vibration, it's like, I'm even starting to notice it now with my family. It's like, my sisters are interested in doing this. My mom is calling me and saying, hey, I want to start doing this, or can you buy me this book, or can you do this, or can you find me a therapist? It's, you start to become an activator for humanity. And it is so beautiful to witness it, where you get to another level of raising your vibration, everything starts to change around you. And it's so beautiful to witness, like, that you are a creator of your reality. You are the creator of your reality, because you're awakening those parts of you that need to be awakened. And it's so beautiful to know that we can be so powerful, unapologetically in our power.
Come on now. Yes, goddess.
It is time for us. It is time for us women to rise, because it is so important to our lineages, that are our past lineages, and the future that we're bringing in and we're birthing. And something that I was thinking about the other day, it's like, we're in the womb for 9 months in the dark. And isn't it funny how people are afraid to do the shadow work? It's like, we're literally a little baby in a little cocoon in our mother's womb. And to do the shadow work, it's like, it was just blowing my mind the other day when I was thinking about it. It's like, we're in the dark, but once we get to Earth, it's like, a lot of people are afraid to go into the darkness. So
what's coming? I'm laughing because you're in the darkness in the womb. Then when you come out to the light, that's when the suffering begins.
Right. That's the
I'm
part.
ready to go back to the womb.
Let me go back.
It was safer there. Wow. Bingo, Kim. Bingo. I'm sorry. Did you have something else to say?
No, I am complete, goddesses. Yes. But yeah.
Oof. Yeah. You hit the nail on the head with what I was going to say. Yes. Internally, you're going to experience, by doing the shadow work, for one, more shadows are going to come up. You're going to realize you're seeing yourself like an onion. You think you healed one thing, or you may think I face, like, for example, let's say jealousy or insecurity. You think you face that, but you haven't seen it from all angles. And so another layer has to come down, and another layer. So you start to realize, wow, there's some deep programming in wounding. And a lot of times there's wounds within wounds.
Yes.
And so to be able to go through all those different layers and to also come out on the other side is very liberating and empowering in itself. And then to also, like Indigo said, and also you said, Kim, to see how our external world changes, how everything's a reflection, how we do create our reality from the inside out. You start to, friends will be released from your life and new friends will come in, more higher aligned friends. Ways of thinking will be released. What you were so held on to in the way you perceive the world, your belief systems, all of those are shift. You start to realize it was exactly that, just a belief. I didn't know nothing. And I still don't know anything.
Same.
All I know to do is to continue to do the work. That's all I know.
Yes. Absolutely.
And I do know I am loved.
Yes.
Yes.
And yes, so to be able to see how we are truly changing our reality by changing our internal environment, changing the trajectory of our life, changing the story, changing the narratives that we tell ourselves about life, about other people, the way we view the world. And I want to be clear, there can be some truth in certain narratives or stories. However, we can create a higher truth. It's called scripting. We're magical beings. And so we can script our lives, we can change the trajectories, we can change the narratives by doing those shadow works and going through all those layers, like peeling yourself as an onion. Don't ever think that you're 100% healed. If you're not ascended from this human experience, there's still work to do.
Right?
None of us are 100% healed. So let's even check our egos with steering clear of that. And it doesn't also mean, I also want to be clear too. That's the interesting thing. Also doesn't mean that we're broken either. Just because we're not healed or 100% ascended, it also does not mean that we're broken.
Yes.
It also means that there's just still work to do. And it will get lighter and will get easier. So that's all I have to say about the shadow work, how it shows up internally and externally, is going through those layers like an onion, continuing to do the work, and then just noticing how the people that you're around change, and also to what you're attracted to, what you like, the things you thought you liked before.
Yes.
You know, you no longer can do this. A lot of things that I used to like that I no longer can, like my energy, my vibration cannot even do. Like I used to love listening to like rap music every night. Not a lot. I want to be clear. I still had like that healthy balance. I was like more neo soul, all that, but I find myself, I can barely even listen to it nowadays. Barely. I used to make an exception. Like at the gym, I'll use it to turn up when I'm at the gym. But like nowadays, like I'd rather listen to our podcast at the gym.
Yes.
So those things happen. So yeah, it's really beautiful doing the shadow. That is your most liberated. It's going to liberate.
And that becomes natural too. That shifting of no longer being interested in doing the things that we used to like to do. It's natural. It's not like a forced thing. Like, oh, I can't do this now because I'm spiritual. It's just like no longer a desire. You know, exactly. I'm no longer led to do that. I no longer feel comfortable listening to this type of music, and that's okay. You know, that's how we evolve. But it doesn't have to be a forced thing. I just wanted to say that because some people may feel like spirituality has to look like this, and if I do listen to this, then I'm wrong. I'm this and that. No, you may still be evolving in a certain level of your life and may still like to tap into a little rap music here and there, and allow yourself to be in that space until you truly evolve, because then even going against, in a way, what you want to do, in a way, like not just want to do, but like what still brings you joy. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, it may still help you to turn up in the gym and you enjoy that process. So not to like take it, be like, oh, I can't do that anymore because of and then there's resentment. You still got work to do. You know what I'm saying? Because then you end up building resentment against yourself. Like, in order for me to be spiritual, I have to do this and I have to do that and I can't do this anymore and da 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 da. No, you just allow yourself to evolve through it.
Yep, exactly. Thank you. I love that you said that, Indigo. So on point. Thank you for making that very crystal clear for those who may have been feeling like me mentioning rap as an example, according to my own personal life. It does not make you a bad person if that's still what you want to listen to, even as the dominant music or rock or whatever. It's up to you. It's your life. My point is that I've become too sensitive for that. I'm now too sensitive. I am feeling into certain vibrations. When you grow spiritually and you do the shadow work, you no longer can, like, again, because we're in different states of consciousness. And so when you do the shadow work, your consciousness does raise. You vibrate higher. And I will say there will come a time where all of this is transcended. It doesn't mean that we won't have hip hop or certain genres of music, but the messaging will indeed be different. And that's what it is for me. It's a lot of times it's the messaging, it's the lower frequencies. And again, no judgment. We're all at different levels and states of consciousness on our spiritual and human evolution journey. But thank you, Indigo, for saying that. That is absolutely true.
Yes.
No judgment at all.
Like, no judgment at all.
Yeah. I may say that now and I may turn on Cardi B in a week. So,
yes.
Right. It is what it is.
Exactly. And allow yourself to be there. Exactly. You don't have to beat yourself up because you want to.
I won't have any shame about it.
Yeah.
And then when I'm tired of Cardi B, I'm going to turn back on my Cleo Soul. Yes.
Shout out to Cleo Soul.
Yes, absolutely. I can definitely relate to that too, because like even just like being Jamaican, most of the music is like skin out your,
girl. Vibes Cartel.
Vibes Cartel. Girl, he on tour. They like, oh, you going to the concert? I'm like, that's no longer aligned with me. I'm sorry. I did like him in the past, but no, thank you.
Right? Exactly.
Have fun for me. Right? Have fun for the old me, because the new me is not interested,
Yep. The real you. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. So I love, because Kim, you mentioned earlier, like some people can be afraid to like do the shadow work, and like it can be scary for some, it may seem scary because it's like, oh, you got to go in your darkness. And then it's kind of like going into that space of the unknown, the abyss. And it's like, what's there? What's going to come out? What's going to pop out at me? You know what I'm saying? And some people may have like some experiences in that space. So like, I just want to like kind of touch on that. Like, can it be scary to do shadow work? And if so, how do we release the fear of confronting our shadows?
Can I go with this one?
Yes, please.
Because yes, when it comes through, boom, 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 I have to like, let me just get this out now. Let me get this out.
Yes.
So what's coming to me is this saying I've heard like a few years ago, maybe like 6 or 7 years ago, I'm not sure, but yeah, maybe within the last decade, is to choose your fear. So I love this saying because let me give you an example of what that means. Is that you can have the fear of going deep within, facing your shadows, facing the way that you self-sabotage, facing the way that you play small, facing all the traumas, all of that. You can have fear for that. And that's a legitimate fear and it's understandable. Or you can have the fear of staying stagnant and not evolving and not growing and not going after your dreams and not going after your desires, just by being in a comfort zone. So choose your fear. It's like kind of like another example is simply like a gym. Oh, a lot of people say, I don't like to work out, right? But choose your fear. Do you have the fear of working out and moving your body and exercising and building your muscle and losing the weight? Or do you want to stay in the fear of being unhealthy and not being your best self? Choose your fear.
Yeah.
So I would say face the fears head on, just with a simple decision. And again, know and to trust. And even if you don't have that trust, I will say, because it's one thing for me to say no and to trust and all of that, but I would say start small. It doesn't have to be like I'm full blown in. Some of us are meant for the shadow work. Me, I'm going all in with the shadow work. I'm diving into the dark night of the soul. That's me. Yes. But not everybody has that, that willpower. I can be alone a lot of the time. A lot of people, I can travel alone, that's nothing for me. I can go to the movies alone. That's nothing for me, But for a lot of people, that's like, it's too much. It's too much. It's too triggering.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Baby steps.
Yes.
Start with that awareness. How am I feeling? You goddesses touched on that earlier. How am I feeling? Where am I not happy, like Kim said, in my life? Where just the simplest things. You can start very simple, especially if that fear is so prominent in your field of energy.
Mm-hmm.
And also too, a lot of times people fear doing the shadow work because they know their whole life is probably going to change as a result of doing it. They know that they're probably going to have to eventually leave their job. Eventually, I'm not saying this is for everybody, but I'm giving an example. For a lot of people, it seems like a tower moment, like in the tarot, where everything is falling down.
Mm-hmm.
And even a death moment as well in the tarot, where you literally feel like you're dying, because in a way you are. But on the other side of death, the cycles of life is a birth, life, death, and rebirth. That's the cycles. So after a death, there will always be a rebirth.
Yes.
So I will say that if you're willing to do the shadow work, I'm telling you, as a result of doing the shadow work, and you can only know this for yourself, but I can speak from my own experience. As a result of doing the shadow work and continuing to do the shadow work, I cannot tell you just how liberated and empowered. Like if you would have known me as in high school or like as a child, I'm telling you, not even the same person. Not even, like, you would not know me at all. And again, not that I was a bad person or anything like that, but the empowerment that I have, my ability to speak my truth, my ability to do the work, my ability to go after my dreams and my desires, and to express myself knowing that I'm a loving being, and to always be fully accountable itself, always, always, always. I'm telling you, like as a child, I was timid, I was shy, I was scared to speak my truth. You would never know. You would never know. All of this as a result of doing the inner work. And so, yes, don't be afraid, but if you are afraid, know that it's first thing to do is accept that it's okay, I'm afraid. Yes. And take baby steps.
I wanted to add to, through my experience, what has helped me overcome some of the fear of doing the shadow work is having beautiful, trustworthy sisters next to my side that have helped me so much. Like, oh my gosh, let me tell you about, when I met Wind, she blew me away.
He blew me away.
Who is this guy?
Literally. Soulmate.
I remember like maybe 7 years ago, we went on a trip to Sedona, and I had my first like plant medicine ceremony there. And I feel like that opened me up. And through that, Wind was there to help and guide me through a lot of the shadows that were coming up for me, because they were so dark. And she did it so lovingly. And it just has helped my journey so much. Like, I'm just so grateful and so thankful, because I always tell Wynn, she has been one of my greatest teachers in this lifetime. And having that sacred sisterhood, and Indigo as well, like the past couple years, ever since we've all been in our sacred sisterhood, we all help each other grow and evolve, and we want that growth. So my best advice is go to that, if there's a spiritual community, if there's somebody that you resonate with, even on YouTube. I know that's how Wind and Indigo met. I believe they messaged each other on YouTube, and then they met, and then they have this beautiful sisterhood now. So it's like, message that person that you feel in your heart that is aligned with you, and start a conversation, and slowly that fear will go away when you start to feel that you are supported. So that is my greatest advice, is having that sacred sisterhood has just saved me so much. So much.
Thank you. I love you. You brought tears to my eyes. It's true. It's so beautiful to just have a sisterhood. It's so necessary. Like somebody who's not going to judge you, somebody who's going to really be there for you.
Yes. Love you.
It's huge. Thank you.
Love you both so much. It's so important and it's so valuable. And the way that I value and honor my sisters, it's just next level for me. I would never take this for granted ever. Yes.
We love you so much.
Thank you. I love you both so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kim. It's very touching.
I love that you said that, Kim, because we've been talking about the shadow work and going within, and we saying it in a way like in a personal way, but you bringing up the fact that we have support is also a reason why people fear to go into their shadows, because they don't feel like they have the support or community in order to do that in a safe space. They may live with someone who may not be able to hold space for them to go through their shadows and to be able to share those parts of themselves as the emotions and the feelings come up to be released. So it's super important that we have sisterhood and community. And that's the beauty that we bring in this space right here, because I feel like since we have gotten so much closer, we all have been growing and evolving and helping each other and supporting each other. And that is priceless. That is priceless. It really is. It really, really is. And what I would say,
it's a gift from the divine. It's truly a gift.
It really is a gift. It really is a gift. When we are showing up in our authenticity, when we are really being true support systems, like it's nothing else like it. It's really nothing like it. And that allows us to go into our shadows. It allows us to say, I'm seeing this, Wynn said it to me when I came to Arizona for your birthday. You were like, I'm seeing something in you, Indigo. And, I'm like, I know it's there and I'm working through it. But for you as my sister and being able to hold space with me, for me to like bring it up and help to release that with me was just like, I haven't been the same ever since. It shifted me. You know what I'm saying? And those moments keep shifting us into our ascension journey, into that process of going higher and higher in our full spectrum of light, And what I would say to anyone who is fearing going into your shadows is fear is a conduit. Fear is a conduit. It may come up to trigger, it may come up to show us what we need to be working on, but it's never supposed to be something that's debilitating. It's never supposed to be something that stops us from moving forward. It should be for us to address it and say, okay, I see you, fear, like the warriors we are, the true warriors we are. I see you, fear, but you ain't gonna stop me. I used to have fear of heights. I used to have a fear of heights, but you would never know that because I'm all up in zip lines, upside down. I'm jumping down. I'm jumping off a cliff. I'm doing all kinds of stuff because I said, I'm going to push through that fear. I'm not going to allow that fear to stop me from living my life.
Yep. I love that. Love that so much. Yeah. Oh, go ahead, babe. Sorry.
No, that's it. Just push past your fears and confront them face on, like you said, Wynn. Face on, like, hey, I see you, but you're here to show me something that I need to see a little bit deeper. Let's go deeper with you. Yes.
You want someone to go deep. You want somebody to help you to go deep.
Oh my God, goddesses. I just want to thank you both so much because it's just such an honor. It's beyond an honor. It's so sacred to me. It's such a divine alignment and a divine gift to not only hold space for my dear sisters, but to hold space for myself and to allow myself to also have other beautiful souls such as you two hold space for me as well. It is beyond a divine gift. I mean, when they say it's priceless, it's so valuable that even all the money in the world couldn't buy this.
Mm-hmm.
You could not purchase this. This is true authenticity and love. And it's a privilege and it's a responsibility.
Yes.
It's a responsibility. And just to close out with this part about the fear is that fear is an invitation. It's an invitation to grow. It's an invitation to be your best and highest self.
Yes.
And that's why I say y'all would never know who I was like 10 years ago. And that's it gives me so much humility. It makes my heart just flutter. These are really tears of joy and excitement and yes, honor and happiness to be me and to also to have attracted such beautiful souls such as yourself. Like that shows me I'm doing something right.
Yes, God.
And to have created this
Absolutely.
podcast,
Yes.
and that all of this that we're talking about, all of this that we co-created and all of the beauty and bounty that's to come, this is all because we have accepted the invitation to face our fears. And to go into our shadows.
Yes. Absolutely.
So, thank you, goddesses. Proud of you. So I want to move on to, I want to talk about, so speaking deeper into shadows, how do we know? Because a lot of times we hear the word, or people will say in the spiritual community, you need to integrate your shadow, right? We need to integrate our shadow, which is true. However, do you feel like we should integrate all of our shadows? Because a lot of times people, when they think about integrating, they think about becoming the shadow. So do we need to integrate all of our shadows, some of our shadows, or how do you feel about that in your own perspective?
Yes. You know, I feel as if there's a lot of our shadows that needs to be released, right? As far as our deep connection to it, or the things that we have associated from the shadows that kind of like blocks us from being able to move forward, being able to have a wider view of thinking that keeps us limited and keeps us trapped. Those are the parts of the shadows that we need to be able to be okay with letting go, you know? But then when we talk about integrating the shadow, it's also about knowing that they are there, right? And to be able to identify when they show up. Like you said, I can be in my ego right now and I can see it. You said that earlier when like, oh, I might be doing this and I can see it. Well, that's important because we have to be accountable for how we're showing up. If we're projecting, if we're coming from a place of we're being triggered from a trauma place, or if we're trauma bonding or things like that. So we need to be able to see and know that these parts of us exist, but also be able to liberate ourselves, release, step back from fully identifying with the shadow and it being like the driving force. Because once we are able to see our shadows, able to identify it, bring it to our consciousness, we are able to kind of like navigate the world from a, like you said, a full view, a broader spectrum, full spectrum, to see it all, and not just like the extremes where it's like kind of like the scale is just tipping side to side, but we can kind of like be in the middle of it. Like, okay, normally I would have got angry at this, but I'm just going to let this be like, okay, it's going to go. Or you can be like, you know what? I do feel angry right now. And I'm going to allow myself to feel that anger.
I was hoping you were going to say that opposite. Yeah,
yes.
Like, I am going to allow myself to feel anger. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And that holds its purpose for that time. We don't stay in that. We're not going to walk around, oh, I'm mad at the world because this happened to me. No, you can feel through it. That's a part of the shadow work, being able to truly and completely feel the emotions from top to bottom and allow ourselves to figure out how we're going to allow it to either be integrated or release it. Like, oh, this no longer serves me, you know? But the parts of it that does serve us is that I'm not going to let nobody play around with me. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's when the ego does serve. I'm so sorry. That's when the ego does serve that's when the ego is healthy. Yeah, you're right. I'm
Yes.
not going to allow anybody to treat me any type of way.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Absolutely. And then the ego, once we begin to like liberate ourselves and bring it fully to our consciousness, and we're in our purpose, we're in our divine, connected to divine will, the ego can be an asset. The ego can help to further that that mission, that purpose, that plan, right? Because then now we're in a balanced perspective, because we still here in a physical level on a 3D dimension, and we still have to navigate. And if I show up in my ego, it's like, oh, I'm bringing a little earring, my little, earrings. I got my little cute little dress, my ankh, and I'm showing up in my excellence on this dimension. But I'm also coming from 4, 5, 6, and above dimensions as well, bringing those perspectives from a full spectrum, all through being able to feel all of it and not just attaching to one particular version feeling of it all.
Oh, I love that.
So yeah, absolutely.
It's powerful. Would you like to go next, Kim?
What else can I say after that? What the heck? I really don't have anything else to say. I mean, I really don't.
Yeah. Indigo always just nails the point home. It's so true.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Like looking at the multidimensional self, right?
Yes.
And I love that you even brought up the anger. Like there are moments where, yeah, maybe I do need to simmer down a little bit. This is not worth me, going, losing my, stuff, so to speak. And then there are times where it's like, you know what? I need to get angry. I do need to get angry, but it's not projecting that anger. I'm allowing myself to feel that anger and then move accordingly, because anger serves a purpose as well. And I would say we're, again, like Indigo did say, we're in this human experience. We're meant to have the range of emotions. We're meant to have the range of sadness, anger, even jealousy serves a purpose. Even shame serves a purpose. All of that. Insecurity serves a purpose. Again, that's not your identity, though. It's just an emotion.
Yes.
It's energy in motion. It's supposed to move through you.
Yes.
We're not supposed to stay there and hold on to it. Like, I'm this angry person, I'm just angry. The world makes me angry. I'm going to be angry. And a lot of times people get caught up in that. And that's the delusion of integrating the shadows, that I would say a lot of times people think that I've integrated my shadow, so I'm going to be a rude person. I'm going to allow myself to be rude. No, check yourself. Integrating your shadow means that, yeah, I'm human and I am going to have experienced some lower vibrational emotions, but I can release it. I have the ability to alchemize it. I have the ability to transcend these lower vibrational emotions, whether I'm feeling it or not. Yeah, all emotions are valid. Yes. But that doesn't mean that, you have to go around not only hurting yourself and hurting people, as if, because there's still accountability and there's still consequences for our actions.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And for every action, there's a reaction.
Reaction, yes.
You can't think that, oh, I'm sexually liberated, so I'm integrated my shadow of being sexually liberated, so I'm just going to sleep with whoever. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Do that and see what happens. There's still STDs. There's still unwanted pregnancies. There's still
energy exchange.
Attachments. Yeah, I was going to say that. Absolutely. She beat me to the punch. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You still got those energetic soul ties. So there's consequences. So when we talk about integrating the shadow, it doesn't mean we become the shadow. We still have discernment. We still have to be accountable. It just means that I'm human and I'm going to allow myself to be human. I'm not going to judge myself for being human, and I'm still going to be accountable, and I'm still going to go deeper into these shadows and continue to do the work. End of story. So no, not all shadows. Not all shadows need to be integrated. but the integration is more of just accepting the human experience, I will say.
Something was coming through was like when people don't do the shadow work, that I feel like that's when the downward spiral comes. I feel like that's when you go into a downward spiral, and then that can show up in your body as disease, as pain, as trauma, even more trauma. Like you're creating even more. And like if you don't, yeah, I don't know, that was coming through when you were talking. It's like when people don't do the shadow work, it starts to manifest in your body.
Oh yeah, all that unresolved anger can show up as hip issues,
Mm-hmm.
or having a bitter heart can show up as heart problems. Having too much anxiety can ruin your nervous system. So absolutely, it's all somatic.
Yeah. Wow.
Yes.
So not all shadow is necessarily negative or low vibrational. How can we know what parts of the shadow need to be integrated and what actually needs to be released?
This kind of ties into our last question where we talked about like integrating it, but this goes a little bit deeper because not all shadows are necessarily negative or low vibration. But what was coming through for me a lot, like very, very strongly before we even got to this question, was that all of it is source, the shadow and what we call the light. It's like two sides of the same coin. It's the yin and the yang. The yin and the darker portion has a little bit of the light in it, and the lighter portion has a bit of the darkness in it. And when we come in our center balance, it's balance. Like we said, the scale is balance. It's like constantly just balancing itself out. The pendulum is constantly swinging back and forth. It's just a constant. What we're trying to do is get into the middle balance of it to where it's not so much extremes. Because when we're in the extreme, we are out of balance. Any way it goes, this is this way or that way, whatever way the scale is tipping, it's an extreme, it's out of balance. I don't care if you're the most spiritual and you may be just so high in the clouds that you're not connected to the physical, and that this is our curriculum. We came here to experience this experience in this way too, so it has to be like a balance in it all. And when it comes down to like the shadows, necessarily not all of them are negative, because they, like you said, they're like invitations. They can be like channels to open a door to something more expansive for us to like our soul to learn from and grow from, but remembering that is all source, even the anger, even the hurt, even the pain, all of that is divinely orchestrated to help bring us to the other side of that darkness, which is the light. Right. You have to have the both sides of the coin. You know what I'm saying? You don't have a one-sided coin. You have two sides to every coin.
Right. And the both sides of the coin is still the one coin.
And it's still the one coin. Exactly. One coin. And when you spin that coin, you know how I used to do that when I was a child. To spin the coin, let it be like on the thing. That's when it comes into the balance.
On its
right?
axis. Right.
Yes, on the axis. And that's like our toroidal field, right? Mm-hmm. That's when we in the center and it's like spinning and we're able to connect to that spinning of the energy that's constantly moving. It's never staying in one space, one place. It's constantly moving. It's absorbing, it's taking it, it's cleansing it. And all of this is happening all at one time, all together in this most synchronistic, most synergistic way. So not all shadows are necessarily bad or lower vibrational. And like we said earlier, like the extremes, it can be a shadow that is on the high frequency. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's lower vibrational, because you can be like, I'm coming from like a place of love. And like we said, we oversharing, overgiving, super vulnerable, constantly, you know what I'm saying? Lacking the discernment, lacking the, the natural processes to like balance out. Okay. because even if we're like over giving or coming from like a place of just like too open, that we susceptible to things coming and attaching and trying to get us and bring us down and things like that. So we have to have the discernment. We have to be able to connect with our intuition and our instinct, right?
Yeah.
It's both. It's always both.
Yes.
And I love when you say that, Wendy, because he's like, it's not this or that, but it's both of it. Both of them.
Yes. It's this and that.
This and that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a big teaching I've had. It's definitely not this or that. It is both. And it's learning the wisdom from both.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we're not advocating to say, and what I will say too, just kind of, I love what you said about even on the opposite end of the spectrum, even if let's pretend like we were saying the left side was the high vibrational side and the right side was the low vibrational side. That's not necessarily what it is. It's not about low vibration, high vibrational or low vibrational. It's a different experience.
Yes.
Over here. It's a different experience, different, because like Indigo said, if you're over giving or you're loving in order to prove yourself, is that necessarily high vibrational? It's actually not. That's not high vibrational. It's a different range of the experience. It's a different spectrum. And it's so important that we, again, just be able to look at self and to see like, of course we are beings of love and light. And I really love that you mentioned, Indigo, is that, I heard this a while ago from Dr. Phil Valentine. We've been fooled to think that God is just love, but God is also the fears and the pain and the suffering as well. It's like God is the totality of everything. And at the same time, the fear, the pain, all of that is also love too, because we got to go back to the love one.
Yes.
It's a gateway to come back to love. So there is love in that, because there's lessons in that. There's opportunities for growth in that. There's opportunities for soul evolution. But when we're talking about integrating the shadow, I just want to re-emphasize that it's integrating more of the totality of all of these experiences, rather than attaching to I am anger, or I am fear, or I am this, or I am that. I am it all. I am. I'm it all.
Yes.
I am love, yes. And I am godly. And I am experiencing it all. But ultimately I am. And going back to what you said, even Indigo, going back to that middle point of the pendulum, the 0 point, that is that nexus point where now we are collapsing it all. We're collapsing all the timelines. It's all now becoming into what now we're not attached to any of that. It just is, right? It's just this isn't.
Yes.
Just is. And it just is. And that's the beauty. And I feel like no matter what we're experiencing, coming back to that I am energy, the isness energy, that's how you can really integrate the shadow work. It's to not be, that's why I said, once you do the shadow work over and over, you get to a point where you're starting to laugh now at the end. It's no longer over consuming you, and you're no longer going into the downward spiral, even though you could be going on a low vibrational journey in a sense, but it's not taking over you, because you do have that ability to center yourself and to discern. So noticing you're not your anger. You are not. You are indeed love. And anger serves a purpose as well to lead you back to love. There's a such thing as righteous anger. I'm just using anger as an example. I feel like it's such a good example for the collective energies that we're in, because a lot of us have a lot of things to be angry about. It's righteous anger, but you are also peace.
Yes.
You're also kindness. You're also fun and joy. Don't forget about those aspects too. Let the anger lead you back to the joy.
Yes. Choosing love over fear.
Love over fear. And the fear will lead you back to love. And it's not about, choosing love over fear. It's not about choosing fear. It's choosing to face the fear.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's how I
Yes.
feel about it.
I love that.
Yes.
I just love that when like so like profound, like greatly said, amazing.
Thank
And
you,
I just
Goddess.
also, you know, also want to talk about when you're integrating your shadows, it's also about honoring yourself, like your truth, because some people may have issues or traumas behind speaking up, and we talked about that in like, I have the blue here. We talked about the throat chakra, and it could be like from programming from like our family growing up, being told not to, speak back to your mother, your father, the adults in the house, and then kind of like having that feeling of suppressing, what you really need to say or your feelings because you didn't feel like you had the space to really like express that. So when we integrate in the shadow, we're integrating those parts of us also that maybe was afraid to speak up. And we honor ourselves by speaking up, by choosing sovereignty to say, I want to do this, I don't want to do this, or not just allowing to just go with the flow of things, but like making our own choices to say, like, do I really want to do this? Is this aligned for me? Or am I just doing it because everybody else is doing it?
Exactly. I love
so
that.
necessary.
That's great. I love you mentioned like not just going with the flow. Because it is going with the flow. Again, this and that. It's going with the flow and creating the flow. Yes, I am love and light. And I also have aspects that I'm experiencing fear. I'm in a human 3D experience. I am going to experience fear. I am going to experience
absolutely
ego. And that is okay. It's just being okay with the experience.
Yes.
Being okay
so
with
like
the experience.
Absolutely love that. So like some parts of the shadows can be so like deeply rooted where it can be like my mother used to do that and her mother used to do that and they used to do that, so we do that in this household, and it's just like so deeply rooted. What are some ways to like clear and release the programs that no longer serve us, that may be so deeply rooted, like in our DNA, ancestral, like lines and lines of like doing the same thing,
I wanted to share an experience that just came up for me. Was in my family, the woman not speaking up. That was so like some of the deepest pain and trauma that what went through in my family with abuse, a lot of child abuse in my family, and the woman not speaking up about it. And I said, heck no, we are speaking up about this. This is not right. This is not from love. And it just feels in your body like, no, I'm going to speak up about this. It's making that bold decision, being courageous, knowing that anything that does not come from especially abuse, of any kind, will not happen in my life. It's like just being bold and courageous to take that step, and in your family, and saying, no, watch, the moment you do that, if you are experiencing abuse in your family, in your culture, and the moment that you speak up and say something, everything's going to change.
That is shadow work too. I love that you said that.
Yes, and the truth is going to come out. And there's nothing more beautiful than the truth. It's going to be hard. There's probably going to be family members that won't ever talk to you again. Good. But thank God. Thank God. Because if you're with abuse and abusing and this and that, I don't want you in my life. And the moment you start to do that, it's like a ripple effect. Then you start noticing like, wow, like what's going on in my family, or what's going on in this environment? It's like, that is not going to happen. Not under my watch. So you better watch out. That's how I feel
about it. Oh, I love that, Kim, because like you're saying, the shadow work, sometimes the shadows that are so deeply rooted from ancestral, going back and back and back, when they're not speaking up in the family, sweeping things under the rug into the darkness, the darker places, into the shadows, putting it in the closet, locking it up. And we don't talk about that here. We don't bring those things up. But then people are hurt and walking around with hurt and pain in the family, not feeling like it's a safe space to express, not feeling like, you're supported and actually, have a family. Because if we're family, I should be able to talk about these things. We should be able to stop it dead in its track. It shouldn't be going on for time and time and time and time and time again. It's still like protecting the abusers, and letting the abused or the victims feel like there's no safe space for them, going around with the trauma, living it, being in it, having these shadows be so dominant in our lives,
Yes.
So yeah, absolutely. They can be deeply rooted. And one way to clear it, like you said, is bringing it up, speaking about it, bringing truth, speaking truth to power. Yes.
Come on now. Yes.
Yes. Love it. Love it. Absolutely. Sometimes we also have like programming in our family. Like I know from mine, also just like different superstitions. And that's just like coming up for me right now, like different superstitions, like we don't do that because of this, or we put this here because of this and stuff. And some of that stuff may have its purpose, but other parts of it can be just like limiting us from really being able to see the totality of all things, really limiting us from unity consciousness, because there may be biases about a certain race or color, like growing up in my family, colorism was a thing, you know what I'm saying? The dark skin, the light skin, and the favoritism and things from that. And then I saw that just happening, and I was never comfortable with it. But then I also experienced that favoritism. And although parts of me liked, being favored, other parts of me didn't like that other people had to suffer or feel less than for me to get, or, so one thing I did was like, try to like share always. Like if I got something, I'm sharing with others. I'm sharing with my cousins. I'm sharing with my siblings. I'm sharing it because that's how that's the part that I can play, because I can't fix what other people do, and their favoritism. But that was a big thing growing up, was that colorism, that, this and that. And people just like automatically having like white is right,
Right.
But then that's a whole like limited,
it's a lie. It's a lie.
Frequency of lies. Yeah, it's a huge lie. It's a huge lie.
How when the original mother of the earth is the darkest woman on the planet.
Right.
The original.
Literally. The original.
Wow. Everybody comes from the darkness.
Literally.
The darkness. So right.
It's true.
Yes. So
shows how we've been lied to.
It does.
Yeah.
Huge. Yes.
So yeah.
Well, yeah. So so that process of like just like being able to bring them up and like to release them, especially like for ourselves, but like him said, like having that family conversation with everyone, being like in our radical truth, to say the hard things that are not normally said, or maybe difficult to say, or may trigger people, or family members, just to be like bringing truth, like Kim love, like Wynn loves to say, speak truth to power. That's how we clear. That's how we release. That's how we are able to bring the darkness to the light, so that it can be liberated, it can be transmuted. And like you said, people may not want to continue to talk to us or be involved, and that's okay, because they're running from their own shadows. And if they still want to keep those things in the darkness and perpetuate that same cycle, that's on them. But it's for us to make the choice to say, I want to be liberated. I want to bring this to the light, and to choose love, choose light, choose truth.
Yes.
Constantly.
Yes, goddess. Yes, goddess.
Yeah, you both said a mouthful of some profound truth. Okay, my goddesses are speaking their truth. Bold and wisely. I'm here for it. I first want to say, like, I want to just piggyback off it. It seems to be this underlying theme of the divine feminine not being able to really advocate for herself, support herself. And what I'm also seeing is this collective wounding with the feminine. What I'm getting mostly is protecting the masculine, the wounded masculine, at the expense and the sacrifice of other feminines and even the feminine within. And that is a huge collective, like when you talk about deep-rooted trauma, deep-rooted problem as a collective, like even beyond race and all of that stuff, it's huge. And I see that so often is that a lot of times, like you said, Indigo, things get swept under the rug, where us women, we allow men to get away with literally almost murder, rape, murder, molestation, pedophilia, infidelity, being a
not only men,
yeah,
not
I'm
only
just
men.
I'm
I
using
do want
it.
I
No,
do
yeah,
want to say it's just
absolutely.
like
Oh yeah, I'm using this as,
underline.
oh yeah, this is an example, but it's a huge collective issue I'm seeing, specifically when we're looking at the manifestations of the wounded feminine. Because mind you, you're right, it's not only men, because in order for that to happen, you would have to have a wounded feminine. So let's talk about even how
Yes,
the
and there's
feminine.
many women who do the same thing: rape young boys, molest them, take advantage of them from a very young age.
Oh
From a
yeah, that's
very
a
young
that's an
age.
issue. But
Yes.
we're talking about the dominant collective. You know, when we live and looking at statistics, you're going to see most of the rapers, the molesters are men. Are men.
That
We're not, yes,
I
yes.
think that that's
It's
just like a open thing where women more will bring it to the light. But there's lots of men that experience it will never talk about it because they
oh
think it's a
yeah, for
cool thing,
sure.
it's a good thing. Oh, I'm a man and I got this, da 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 da. But honestly, they don't even see it as that. They don't even see it as molestation, trauma, rape. They just see it as, oh, I got the girl.
So that's because they're so yeah, you're right. I got the woman, and they'll be little babies themselves.
Yes.
But the issue is what
yes.
we're talking about. Yeah, but of course, women are going to be disconnected from self as well because they've abandoned themselves and they haven't stood up for the feminine as well. But as a collective, the men have been doing a lot of and I won't refute that. The men, I'm not talking about, the exception doesn't make the rule. So yeah, there are women. It's never it's a generalized statement. And this is not a bash against men. It's just the truth. It's a collective issue. If you even talk to most women have been molested or raped by some man. I believe it's now 7 out of 10 women, 70% of women have been molested or raped. I'm not talking about women have never done it. Of course, women have done it. But we're talking about the collective. We're talking about the collective issue. The collective issue of women. And what I also notice with women too, they protect these men.
That's the problem. Huge problem.
That's a huge, they don't speak up. They protect them. We make excuses for them. And we don't.
Even in our own healing work, in our own, when we do bring it up, when we do talk about it, when we do share it, it's like, in a way, we're still protecting them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
in a way, we're still protecting the men, even in those times when, because I know from my own personal experience, like a woman will then will bring up, okay, I went through this type of trauma and stuff, but it was because of me. It was because I was this. It was because I was that. Oh, I was walking around in little shorts and I was tempting him or something. Like we will kind of like put it on us or blame ourselves for the thing that happened, but not really like just kind of like be truthful about it. It's like, no, it's still not right for a man to do that. It's still not right for an older man to like look at a younger girl, even if she has little shorts on or something. She's a child. She don't know. She's innocent. You know what I'm saying? Like naive in ways. It's still wrong for a man to like plot on a woman in that way, or a child. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, of course, absolutely. But that also is the internalized misogyny that a lot of women have. We want to take responsibility for men. And again, I'm using men as an example. We're not saying women don't have their problem. I'm talking about a collective issue based on what you two goddesses had said about women not speaking up. Why is that? Why are the women not speaking up in the family? It's because they look at the men as superior. as the dominating force. They look at the men as God. Women worship men. They say they worship God, but they worship men. It's the truth. Women worship men. All the while, like you said, women suffering in silence, all the while enduring abuse, all the while turning against other women, fighting other women to save this man who don't give a damn about none of y'all. And again, we're not talking about all men. I shouldn't have to say that. We're talking about a collective issue. If we ask most of our mothers, our grandmothers, our sisters, our daughters, most of them have experienced some level of sexual abuse, rape, molestation, being touched too early. It shows the disregard and the disrespect for the feminine, and of course the masculine as well. Because you can't disrespect the feminine and not disrespect yourself. So those are those deep-rooted traumas, deep-rooted. I want to circle it back to that, is that, yeah, we have to speak up about it. These collective issues that we're seeing. Yeah, women are not exempt, but we're talking about what is the dominant force of energy. I would say women's issue is lack of self-esteem, lack of self-love, lack of accountability themselves. No, you're not supposed to feel guilt or shame or take the blame because you wore short shorts or you was out. But let's also take it, but also too, energy attracts certain energies. Why are we wearing certain things around certain types of men that's going to provoke their lower nature?
But sometimes you don't know either, because it could be your family. It could be your own father, right. And you feel like you can be safe in your house to wear your, you know what I'm saying? Your shorts or your underwear or something from a naive, this is a child, I'm saying, they don't know that they're tempting men in that way. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so,
well, yeah, they're not trying to
women.
Yeah, they're not trying to tempt the men. They're not trying to tempt the men. Exactly. They're just being, they're innocent. Absolutely.
Yes, exactly. And then it's also, like you said, it's for the women as well to set a certain standard as well for the child to learn. Because I know when I was younger, I used to get in trouble. Well, I did get in trouble like really early on, like sitting on somebody's lap or something. But the thing was, it was an immediate response to just like, oh, don't you sit on nobody's lap. I get in trouble for it. And I'm like, I don't even know what's going on. You know what I'm saying?
Innocent. You're a baby.
No idea. Right. No one told me not to sit on a guy's lap. And if so, why? Why am I not sitting on? You know what I'm saying? I had no idea. But instead of like explaining that and like having that communication and preparing the child for the world, we were so unprepared for the world. And we just like trauma, beat them, yell at them, all types of things where it never really allows us to understand why. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like why is so important for children. We know, I grew and I learned why, but I didn't know why when I was getting reprimanded for it.
You're right. And as a child, you shouldn't have been the one in trouble because you were innocent. You didn't know any better. But the question should be is, again, see how they're blaming you? What about this man? Why did you allow this little girl to sit on your lap? If this wasn't your father, again, a trusted father, I love that you also mentioned, because unfortunately, it could be uncles, fathers, men in the community, men in the family, whatever, that could hurt these children, or even not even just children, other women. Where is the accountability on the men who are doing the problem? And also I'm talking about, again, I'm balanced, both sides. Yes. Accountability. Again, I'm not saying accountability. A woman should never take accountability for somebody raping her or molesting her. I'm talking about the energies that because again, everything's a mirror. Why are women experiencing this at such an alarming rate? For one, is because what you ladies said, we're not talking about it. We're not speaking up. We're allowing men. A lot of the women who have these husbands that molest their daughters or boyfriends that molest their daughters, even their sons, they're not paying attention. We talked about this. They're not paying attention to the signs. They're not checking these men. They're desperate women. They have low self-esteem. They just want to have a man. I want a man. And a lot of these satanic, demonic women, that's what they are, satanic and demonic women, they will sacrifice their child just to have a man, a lot of them. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. So that's what I'm talking about, accountability. No, women should never take accountability for being raped or being molested or being touched inappropriately or being abused in any shape or form. Nobody should take responsibility. What I'm talking about is the deeper level with self and a collective standpoint from a higher perspective. But I'm looking at the women, I'm looking at the men, and I'm only talking about this, we're talking about some deep, I'm talking about, actually, this is deep-rooted human trauma. Deep-rooted human trauma. It's the lack of respect for self. It's in going back to one of our first podcasts, we talked about the men are disconnected from the divine feminine, and those women are disconnected from the divine masculine, because that's why they're not speaking up. That's why they're not tapping into their inner warrior. They feel weak. They feel like I'm beneath a man. I would say both need to, if the men were tapping into their divine feminine, they would have that nurturance. They would have that caring. Yeah, when we talk about men being feminine, we're not talking about the men being divine feminine. We're talking about them having that wounded feminine nature, being emotionally unstable, being weak-minded, insecure. A lot of that too, the rape and the molestation, that comes from, they don't know their own power. Absolutely. So they have to steal the power of these women, because on a soul level, I think they know the power of the woman. So they take the power, or they think they're taking the power, but it's a distorted power. And of course, it all falls down, right? It always does. Yeah. So that deep-rooted power, deep-rooted issues of some shadows, the way to clear it is absolutely speaking up. For women, I would say speaking up. And I would say even for men, but again, this is just a generalized statement. It actually goes both ways. It goes for both men and women, but I'm talking about a bigger collective issue. I think women need to speak up. Women need to say, no, this is wrong. They need to stop having such low self-esteem to the point where you feel like I'm incomplete if I don't have a man. I'm incomplete. Having a man should be a blessing. It should be a compliment. It should not be like to fulfill a void to the point where now I'm competing with other women. I'm sacrificing my own children. I'm letting this man get away with literal murder. When I say murder, he's murdering my mind. He's murdering my spirit. He's murdering my self-esteem. This is a collective issue, especially for women of color, especially for Black women. I'm tired of it. I'm grown up. And I will over it. Yes. I am over it. I don't want to see it no more. Because I see it too much. It's not an anecdotal. This is not an anecdotal example. This is a collective issue. There's statistics to back it up, and we can also open our eyes and see. Yeah. All the women that are suffering and have been suffering. I don't know about you all, but just to say, my mom has 7 girls. And out of all 7 girls, I've seen us all go through hell and back with these men. And I refuse to believe it's just a curse, an ancestral curse. This is a collective issue. Ancestral issue, collective issue. Women need to take their power back. They need to speak up. Yes. But on an individual level, on just a human level for both men and women, we need to analyze our belief systems. We need to go deeper into the unconscious and the subconscious mind, and also look at where the trauma, like you said, Kim, where the trauma is stored in our bodies. Yep. Even that rape and that molestation trauma is very much stored in the body as well. And that can be debilitating and hindering our growth and our love and all of that stuff. So yeah, I would say analyzing and researching ways to go deeper into the subconscious mind, to go deeper into the unconscious mind, and also to go into the body, do somatic exercises, whether that's yoga, somatic dance, breath work. I mean, there's so many ways to go deeper into the body, shamanic work, et cetera, et cetera. So I would say those deep-rooted issues are rooted in the body and in the unconscious and subconscious mind individually.
Oh my gosh. Here we come back. And when I love your long-winded wind. I love it. I just love when you go on your, because it's so true. And I knew that was going to be like a deep one, because we're talking about deeply rooted. And when we talk about deeply rooted, these are things that like goes deep, and it can keep going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. So yes.
Yes, girl. Past life. Woo.
Girl. Woo.
Mm.
So, what are like some fundamental steps and processes in doing shadow work? Although it's not like a one size fit all, I get that. These are tools, so many tools, whatever works for you, whatever you need in that particular moment, we can use it. But like, what are some? Like, I know for me, I said earlier, meditation was the key for me. Meditation was like the first thing to like bring me in, you know?
Yeah.
But what are some like, fundamental steps and processes for shadow work, to do the shadow work, and to I guess if you don't know where to start, or you maybe hit like a wall with it, like what you known for doing, maybe not working for you right now, and you need some other options. What are some different options for like shadow work?
It starts with your awareness. It starts with your awareness.
Oh yeah.
Start there. Start with like noticing your life, noticing how you feel, noticing where there's room for improvement. If you think again that you have nothing to improve on, but you're still in this human experience, you are living in delusion. Delusion. I don't know what else to say.
Delulu.
And that's not the good time kind of delulu. There's a healthy delulu, and then there's a delulu that's just like downward spiral delulu.
Yes.
We all have opportunities to improve in our life. I sure know I do. I have a heap of things to improve on.
Yes.
And I'm not ashamed to say it. And that alone is deliberate. That's like almost like you're halfway there. It's like the other half is just doing the work. And at least 33%. I would say you're at least 33% there in going deep into your shadow work, is just by admitting, saying, I'm not happy with this. I'm not so fulfilled with this. Yeah, I may have, no matter if you're experiencing deep poverty, deep pain, deep hardship, or even if you're experiencing a more peaceful life, a more joyful life, a more loving life, just being aware of self and how I can be not only more self-loving person, truly, again, mind, body, spirit, emotional health. How can I improve in those areas? And how I can also be in service. We truly are human beings. If you look at the word human, you're supposed to be humane. You're supposed to care. That's actually the age of Aquarius. The Aquarius sign is the humanity sign. They are the humanitarians, the Aquarius. So we're in the age of being a humanitarian, which means that we're in the age of being in service. So awareness. I just had to start with that.
No, that's super important. Seriously, that's where it starts. That's where it starts.
Right. I just wanted to share, like, when I first started, when my spiritual awakening started, like, I was trying different things. And like, some of the things that I tried back then, I don't resonate with anymore. But I would just say, like, try new things, go out there, try a new class, try a breathwork class, try a meditation class, try a yoga class, and then do what feels good in your heart. And then it will evolve from there with your journey. It's like it says here, like, no way is the right way. Like, the way that is for you, and the way that makes you feel good, and the way that helps you evolve, and the way that you're learning your lessons, and that you're not repeating the same cycle, just continue to do that. Continue to have that compassion, continue to have that grace, because that's what it's all about. And it's never giving up. Never give up on yourself. Never. It doesn't even matter. Just never give up. Because I promise that the more you continue to do it, the more you continue to do the shadow work, the more you continue to go deep within, you will get to a level where you just want peace. You just want love. You just want to evolve. You just want to help others. Like, and every time I go out, I'm just sharing my smile, sharing my gifts, because now I'm at a point where I've learned a lot, and there's so much more to learn, but I've learned a lot where I can help others now. And I think that's so beautiful when you get to that point where now you're like, oh, maybe this will help you. And if it's not, it's okay. I have no attachment to that. All I have to do is be myself, be my smile, be my love, but just never give up on yourself. Never.
It's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, I love that.
Big
Yeah.
emphasis on not giving up.
Big emphasis. And I was going to emphasize on that too, because I think that's the thing when we are going through these processes, and there's like Kim was just saying, and I'm sure Wynn is going to say, there's like endless amounts of things that you can do to initiate your shadow work process, or even continue it as we go through the journey. Like she said, from meditation to yoga classes, to sound healing classes or baths, or, ceremonies, to spiritual retreats, to plant medicine, the ayahuasca. Thank you so much, Wynn, for introducing me to that, because I didn't know about that before I went to the retreat, the sister retreat with you.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and I did my research, and I was able to prepare myself to go into a ceremony with that. So those are the things that really has helped me. Getting out in nature, I literally will be laying on a tree trunk, like laying in it, and boom, I would have like a huge vision, or something would come up, and I'm like, oh, I've had moments like that where the shadow work starts and it goes deeper and deeper and deeper, just being out in nature and supported. We talked about sisterhood being a support system. Nature, Mother Nature is a support system. When we trust and we're able to engulf ourselves in that energy, we're supported. And things that came up for me was like deep stuff. I mean, you in nature, you going deep. And for me, I don't know how else I would have been able to receive that information if it wasn't in nature. Nobody could have came and told me that, and I would have been like, oh, nature had to bring it. Mother Nature had to bring that to me for me to be like, see myself in it and be like, oh, wow, I do have this. I am carrying this around, deeply rooted, that I didn't even realize, So for sure. And then like breath work, for sure, like the sacred pause. Make sure you check out that video where we talk about like the 4-part breathing and just like connecting to the breath. Breath work is so powerful. And I love when Kim brought that up in some podcasts before. Go back and check out our old podcasts or the previous podcasts, because they're not old, they're timeless. But if you haven't checked them out, be sure to check them out. We'll put some cards up so it's easy for you to get to it, and it's in this playlist as well. But there's so many tools. It can go on and on and on and on. But I do want to say, like we were saying, it's not a one size fit all. You have to do what works for you. What works for me may not work for you, but there's options, and it's endless. And like Kim said, never give up. Keep going, because in the beginning, you got to go deeper in order to go up.
Right.
And the deeper you go, it's the further up you can go. It widens the range. The deeper you go, it's the higher up you can go. So keep that in mind, that you have to reach to a point where it may seem to be like it's getting worse before it gets better. But then we get to a point where we reach this, like, it's also called like a critical mass, where it's like, oh, we're just about there. And you may feel like giving up, but you're just about to make it. And if you give up, you kind of like wipe out all the work that you did. So you got to keep going, keep trucking, keep going on, because it may be just that one last thing that you do that gets you over the hump.
Yep.
It may be just
that's usually when the miracle happens, actually.
Yes, it is. So I know, like, when things are like getting a little bit more coming up to the surface for me, and like it may seem like, oh, dark night of the soul and stuff, there's a breakthrough at the other side of that. You know what I'm saying? It's super powerful to even be able to have the courage to go through it so you can get to the other side. But if you don't, if you allow fear to get in the way, and you feel like, oh man, I'm doing all this work and I'm not going anywhere, you will end up doing a disservice to yourself.
Yes. Ooh,
and
so
the work
on point.
that you put in. Yeah.
Yes. I love what you mentioned, Indigo, about you got to go deep to go up, go downward to go up. That is so key, because a big part of the reason why a lot of people in the spiritual community do spiritually bypass is because
that's the word.
yes, we get caught up into so much of the spiritual practices that we're doing, but we're not actually getting caught up in the spiritual practices that we're being on the inside. It's always about the doing. I'm doing the yoga, I'm doing the breath work, I'm doing, and mind you, again, all of this is beautiful and necessary if you're called to it, to assist you with your shadow work and assist you with your healing. It's beautiful, but let's go deeper.
Yes.
When we're just doing the yoga to get a quick fix, or doing the breath work to get a quick fix, but then after that you're going about your day. I felt good during the yoga, I felt good during the breath work, I felt good doing this fast or this plant-based diet or whatever it is, or eating healthy meat. But then after that, going about my day, I'm still feeling like crap. I'm only feeling good when I'm doing the yoga. I'm only feeling good when I'm doing the podcast, or I'm writing the book, or I'm doing the retreats, or I'm doing that. What about that in-between time? That is showing us that we are still spiritually bypassing in some way, shape, or form. And that's why it's so necessary, because these are not temporary fixes. It's supposed to be an embodiment. And even through the embodiment, it doesn't mean that you're not going to go through the sadness here and there. Again, it just doesn't become your dominant state. A lot of human beings are living in fear in some way, shape, or form. Most human beings are living in fear. If you're living in separation, if you're living in hatred, if you're living in being biased, if you're living in being whatever, hierarchies, social status, all these illusions, then there's still a disconnect. There's still a disconnect. There's still not an honesty and accountability with self. So for me, again, going back to fundamental steps or processes, I feel like for every human being in your own unique way, find some way, shape, or how to go deep into that subconscious mind, the unconscious mind, and to dig into the body, and to even look and find out more about your past lives, to find out more about your ancestral lineage, your wisdom. Go deeper into all of those things. And again, the yoga, the breath work, the journaling, the mirror work, these are assistive tools. They're not a means to an end. These are assistive tools. They're to assist us. They're to support us. They're supporting, like Indigo said, Mother Nature. But you're still not going to heal yourself by looking at the sun all day, 100%. It's assisting you in your process. You know, don't think you're going to just, I'm going to awaken just by looking at the sun. It's going to assist you, and it's going to activate you a lot, and it's going to help you. But there's still other work you have to do by going deep into the darkness. Don't be scared to go into the darkness. Don't be scared to cry and to face your fears. So some of those ways that really, really help, like Indigo said, is the ayahuasca, the plant medicine, because you get to go really, really deep, get to see beyond all these veils, get to go into those deep traumas, deep pain. Of course, doing past life regression, soul retrievals, hypnosis is a big one. The hypnosis. I believe they call it what do they call it? The BQ. I'm sorry, I forgot the acronym for it.
QHT?
Yeah. How do you say it?
I think it's QQHT.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
It's like that's a form of hypnosis that a lot of people are doing. That's supposed to be really good. But yeah, going deep into those. I'm talking about deeper than you've ever thought. Like when you think like all of this is beautiful, the meditation, but go deeper than that. Peel back those layers. Peel back those layers. And again, remember all of these other things, the plant medicine, the herbs, the breath work, all of this is just to assist us. It's but I think a big part of it is beyond actually anything outside of us. I feel like a big part of the shadow work is just simply us choosing to go deeper and to be still and to be a witness and to be silent with ourselves. I feel like the stillness, the silence, and the solitude helps, and the support where necessary helps out so much. Like that, that's really going to help you clear out that's like getting behind the bed. You think you vacuumed around the room, but then you forgot those deep crevices. About going into those deep crevices. Yeah, that's you just being willing to say, you know what, it's beyond the yoga, it's beyond the dance, the retreats. Again, all of that is helpful and necessary. So like, don't let what I'm saying go over your head. Still go to the retreat, still do the yoga, still do all of that, and be willing to really go deep within yourself and get to the nitty gritty of things and really research. I want to leave everybody with research how to go into the subconscious, unconscious, and into the somatic body, because the body, actually the mind follows the body. That's where I'll end what I have to say. The mind follows the body, and then the emotions follow the mind, because our body is a storage, it's a database. So when there's trauma in their body, we can do all the mental work, but if we haven't removed that trauma out the body, our mind is still going to go crazy. We have to remove the trauma. The mind follows the body, and then the emotions follow the mind. And when our mind is sick and unhealthy, then our emotions are going to be out of whack. So it's all connected. That's all I have to say.
Absolutely. So great. So good. So good. So good.
Freaking love you. I'm sorry. I just know I go so deep. I could just see y'all like,
yeah, so good. So good. So good. Yes. No, I love it. I love it. Trust me. I love it so much.
I love you too.
Yes. Wow. So great. What a beautiful interaction. And then I just want to close off that part of the podcast. I just want to close it by saying that we are our greatest teacher, and our intuition, our higher self, is guiding us to what needs to be done. Right? And when we really get still, when we go in, we will have that guidance to say, hey, do this. Hey, do that. Go into nature. Do that. The day that I went into nature and I had this big breakthrough, I didn't know. I didn't wake up and say, well, today's the nature day, I'm going to go outside. No, I just allowed my intuition to lead me to the tree, lead me to lay down just like completely on the trunk. And I allowed whatever was supposed to come up for me to come up. I allowed my intuition to lead me. And yes, having structure, like with our 8 daily essentials, is important to support us through these processes. But there's also be flexible and allow for us to shift. You may normally go to work out early in the morning, and your intuition might tell you just go for a nature walk instead of going to the gym. And that may open up something else for you. So just allow yourself to be flexible, but to also have structure. And that's where the balance comes in. Be in your flow, but then also have a structure. And if you need something to bring structure, we do have the 8 daily essentials that you can download directly to your devices for free.
Yes.
Complimentary.
Yes.
Okay.
Guys.
That my beautiful sister Wynn created, downloaded, uploaded, and you have it like completely available for you. So if you need some structure that still allows you to have flow, go ahead and download that. We have the link in the description below.
Yes, it's that perfect balance between masculine and feminine, right? Because
Yes.
you get to make it your own. You get to make it your own. I always say that. And I just have to say this. I love too, Indigo, that you said, like, yes, we're our own teacher. We know what to do intuitively. And a lot of times, whether you're choosing to go in nature or whatever it is to support you in your shadow work, there's a saying, it says there's more than one way to skin a cat, right? I don't really like that saying because we don't want to skin a cat,
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
There's many ways to do whatever, infinite ways. So whether that's nature is your gateway, or yoga is your gateway, or Reiki is your gateway, or EFT tapping is your gateway. A lot of times these are just points that lead us to where we need to go anyway. Either way, we're going to get to where we need to go. eventually, whether it's this lifetime or next lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And there are still certain things we can't skip. At some point, we are going to have to face those shadows, no matter which way you do it. No matter which way you do it, you're going to eventually meet that point where it's like, oh, I'm here again. I'm here again. I'm here again. I'm here again. Doesn't matter which way you go. You're going to meet it because it has to be faced in order to ascend. Yeah. It has to be faced. So thank you, goddesses, so much.
Thank you,
goddess. Thank you. Does anybody want to say anything before we close?
I just wanted to say that there is an all-knowing intelligence out there that is here to support you and love you through it all. And just remember that you are loved, you are cared for, and this is life. This is the human experience. And love it all, from the darkness to the light. Love it all and enjoy it all. And don't forget to laugh and have fun and be in joy, because come on, we're here in this experience. Might as well have fun and laugh.
Yes, make the best of
absolutely.
It. Yes.
Yeah, that's when you know you really hit a breakthrough, when you can laugh at the pain and laugh at the suffering. That's how you know you done went to the next level.
Yes.
Thank you. Love that. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you all. If you've made it all the way through to the end of this podcast, you're a true supporter. Go ahead and drop those bad bees, the bees and the honey, and a little sparkle down there. You already know.
Y'all know I love the sparkles. Come on now.
Yes. Love you all. I can't wait to meet you in the next episode of our podcast, where we're talking about showing up unapologetically in your love and light. Yes. I can't wait to see you in the next episode of the podcast. Until then, remember to always trust your inner knowing, trust your highest self, trust your divine guidance that is with you always. And remember that you have tools and resources and sisterhood and community with us here at the Golden Age Goddess Podcast. We love you so much. Don't forget about your resources in the description below, and we will see you in the next episode.
Yeah.
Okay. We put with the heart.
Yes, y'all did it. Yes, goddess.
Love you.
Love you all so much. Love you, goddesses.
Peace. Yes, love you too. Peace.
Welcome to the Golden Age Goddess Podcast. We stand for peace, love, happiness, and abundance for all. Listen to your heart and soul's call, and we will encourage you to be bold, audacious, and devoted. Kim, Indigo, and Wind, helping you win by healing deep within. Only way to the Golden Age. Like, share, and subscribe today.